Hello and welcome to Digitally Transforming Safety and Control of Work to Minimize Risks. My name is Mark Breeze. I work for Yokogawa RAP, and I'm joined today by John Peoples, who is the Global EHS Manager at Huntsman Corporation. Today, we're going to give you a brief introduction to the RAP system, and then I'm going to pass you across to John, who will talk to you about a little bit of an introduction to Huntsman themselves, their culture of safety and reliability, that goes right through their organization, and how Huntsman have achieved operational consistency and reliability working with ourselves at RAP. To give you a little bit of background, RAP, which stands simply for the risk assessment process, originally started as a way to ensure the knowledge from a large petrochemical facility that had been in production since the 1960s would not be lost. The company itself started in 1994, and since then the system has generated easily in excess of 10 million permits to work. From our beginnings in the UK in the early 1990s, we've since expanded to the global client base we have today across many different industries, including Huntsman, where you'll hear from later in this presentation. In 2019, RAP was acquired by Yokogawa to become a center of excellence for control of work within the organization. At around the same time, we launched RAP 4, which is the fourth edition of our digital control of work software. We believe safety should be an activity that is understood and participated in by as many people as possible, which is why our software is available in 26 languages and growing, and why we estimate that daily around 20,000 individuals are directly using the system to keep themselves and others safe, so directly typing on the keyboard. In fact, we can easily double that number as being protected by the system, and with turnarounds in place, those numbers would of course increase exponentially. But let's take a quick step back for those of you who may be new to the subject of what control of work actually means. It's often confused as being the creation of a permit to work only. But in reality, a good control of work system comprises three core functions that are closely linked to one another, and together they enable work to be carried out safely across any plant. These three functions are: one, the creation of a sound risk assessment that details the risks associated with the work being done, the conditions under which the work is being carried out, and the tools and equipment that are being used to do the work. Inadequate risk assessment is the number one underlying cause of incidents across industry, and its importance is clearly often overlooked. After all, if we knew about the risks and that there would likely be an incident, we'd probably think twice about carrying out the activity. The second function is to put in place the required isolations to ensure that workers are protected from forms of power, examples being process fluid, electrical, or motive power. It's critical that these are removed, reduced, or controlled as much as is practically possible, and that this is done in advance before any authorizations to work are issued for action. The third function is, of course, the permit itself. This defines the work to be done and holds, amongst other things, the signatures of those competent to assess the risk, to authorize the work, to issue it and accept it, and is a controlling document. And together, these three items make up control of work and are designed to ensure that safe working practices are followed so that plants and that their assets, processes, systems, technologies can be built and maintained with a level of risk that is as low as reasonably possible. The RAP system from Yokogawa is a more intelligent answer than simply digitizing the paper-based or electronic form-based systems that many plants have in operation today. It uses the experience we've gained from literally millions of hours of high hazard risk assessment, permit and isolation work, and builds it right into the system to be easily accessible from day one. And yet the system is simple and intuitive to use, but still retains the robustness to be fully audit compliant. It's part of the reason why the RAP system is acknowledged to be at the forefront of digital work management. And to tell you more about it and how Huntsman manage safety at their facilities around the world, I'm now going to hand over to John Peoples, who, as I said earlier, is Global EHS Manager for Huntsman. So over to you, John.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the introduction. And yes, my name's John Peoples. I'm a Global EHS Manager for one of the divisions of Huntsman, Performance Products in particular. I have 45 years experience in the chemical industry, majority of it in operational production and the rest of it in environmental health and safety. So Huntsman, as it says, is a global company and it works in various areas, but it's composed of 4 divisions. And these four divisions have in-depth expertise in the chemistry and technology that underpins their place in the consumer market. So my division, Performance Products, we focus on the amines, the maleic anhydrides and carbonates. And these are part of what goes into the water treatments and the lubricants and oil additions. So we, pretty diverse and impact on everything that we use every single day. Which brings us to textiles effects, where you can see they're in the dyes and textile chemical effects. And polyurethanes, we have this very long methyl N-diphenyl, which I struggle with, but it's predominantly it's a foam that goes into, again, everything you use every single day. It's in your cars, it's in the dashboard of your cars, it's in the insulation that you can see in homes. So very diverse and a very niche market that we're in. The advanced material is interesting because we deal with, in essence, if you will, the glues that you'll see on the shelves in supermarkets, but also we're into the wind farms and the air industry. So with all four of these, pretty diverse, but pretty exciting markets to be in. But within all of this, we focus on what we call 5 pillars. And the 5 pillars are outlined before. And when he says about people, this is about having highly skilled people and people that have a culture of being held accountable. So we're very keen on that. And when it comes to asset health is all about being recognized as a reliable supplier. We run these assets and we run them extremely well. And that takes us into operational excellence, where what we're looking for is to maximize our production. So from the beginning to the end, and having this then leads into supplier reliability. We're reliable and we're a viable supplier for the consumers that use our products. And performance management sits at the core of what we do. We use KPIs and we drive performance through the behaviors of our people. So next slide, please. So what happened within polyurethanes? Well, we moved from the paper-based process to the RAP's digital control of work software. And this has been a migration that we've been undertaking for a number of years, but consistently now across our sites, we're using this process. And it has some, for me, the key takeaways from this are the hazards and controls for activities, tools and conditions are in a comprehensive knowledge database. And that over years has grown, and as that word comprehensive, I use it as it's an encyclopedia. It has so much information in there that the guys value and they use every single day. And that's underpinned by the icons that the assessors use. We have specific icons for activities, and these identify the potential risk and recommend, more importantly, the controls that can be used before the final permit is issued. Risk assessments are stored and reused. It's one of the big benefits from the permit to work system. It gives us that consistency. It helps us to refine the assessments, and also, more importantly, to take on board any learning from the experience of performing that task. We may find that there's a better way to do that, and straight away that can be incorporated into the permit to work and stored for the next time that task will be carried out. One of the elements that I really, really like in my position is I can very quickly get learning into that system. So when the guys are coming in and they're looking to work on systems or some of the assets, then there's a message could come up and saying, remember, there was an incident associated with this activity last time we carried it out. And it just really saves that lack of communication that where we fail when people come back to work after being away for days off during the shift periods in particular. So it's absolutely fundamental part of the RAP where we can get this learning, and we use it intensely within performance products. So next slide, please. So the culture, yes, an interesting one, culture of safety, reliability. The challenge is always, if we are not seen as acting as role models, and I say we, It comes really to the managers and the supervisors. We need to be acting as role managers, and we need to challenge the status quo. People will always say to you, there was nothing wrong with the permit to work system. It did what it said. But that's not the point. If we want to change and we want to see a consistency and a reduction in the number of incidents and accidents associated with tasks, then we need to challenge the status quo. And that comes from having committed and enthusiastic people who really are fundamental to making this change happen. And they have different perspectives and different priorities, but we have to align this. And we as leaders have really got to show the desire and vision to make these continuous improvements. So we can move to the next slide, please. And what does that mean about accountability and consistency? It's about a common view that the people at the sharp end are accountable, rather than highlighting that managers need to be accountable. So that common view that it's always the people at the sharp end that are accountable is not true within our organisation. It runs throughout the organisation, from our top managers down to our supervisor and down to the people carrying out the work. So if we want that to be built into the culture, we need to focus on good operational discipline. And that in itself is a huge task in consistently doing the right thing the right way every single day. And that's where RAP comes into play. It gives you that consistency, and it really helps the guys. It must be so difficult when you're issuing permits to try and remember all the standards and procedures and all the controls that you could put into place to mitigate these. And RAP readily provides that for the guys every single day. So this really builds on the reliability of our permit system. So how are we as Huntsman? Next slide, please. So how are we as Huntsman utilising RAP? Well, as mentioned earlier about incidents and accidents, but it also provides a corporate memory. Every time the permit is used, you have another pair of eyes looking at the permit. And after many, many times of doing this, it really gives you the assurance that the eyes that are looking on the permit have reviewed it, assessed it, the tasks have gone well, or there's been learning from those tasks. And at the end of the day, we have a permit that assures that this task can be carried out fully and well because we've had no issues and we've had the proper controls in place to help reduce the likelihood of an incident or accident happening. But it supports the retention of knowledge. One of the issues for ourselves, in particular, just going back a few years ago, was we had an aging workforce and we were getting into the succession planning. And it's always a difficult process to go through, especially with the people at the operational end of it. So we have been working on this, and the guys themselves have been readily supporting implementing this into the RAP system. And it's given us a wealth of knowledge of using all their years of experience to help us with the organisation of work and carrying out these jobs safely and well. But the other element that we've been working on for especially the last 10 years, is the vision of zero harm. We all know once you say zero harm that it gets into these conversations, and sometimes it feels like they're impossible conversations. But what has really supported us is the use of RAP, because we can demonstrate by using RAP and having all the rules and the quality of the training that underpins all this, it guides the activities to be carried out fully and well. And that vision, that ideal of zero harm, it is achievable. And we've done this really by getting the guys together, we get them in open workshops, we discuss, we debate, and we don't just present them with online presentations. We really get down and get into the heart of what helps support the zero harm journey. So we're very excited by this, and we're seeing this as a massive step forward, and we take it every single day. If it's gone well today, there's no reason why it cannot go well tomorrow. And that's where RAP really helps us with that process. So we can move to the next slide, please. So what do we need? Well, we need commitment, and with commitment will give us the momentum to really get through this process and get it embedded within everything we do every single day. And I'm excited with the Performance Products Organisation, because even just at this moment in time, we've finally got our last site here in Americas implementing the RAP process, and it's going extremely well, extremely well. So we know we've got to get this moving and get people moving out of the past. Focus is on the future. What the future will be the use of RAP, and that means of providing us with a safe working environment, and will break down the barriers to implementing a good safety culture. So we do have KPIs which help us with the safe systems. We have many KPIs that go about how the timing of the work, how long it takes, the incidents associated with the activities, the time coming back online. So all these all provide us with evidence that we're getting far better at managing our work processes using RAP to help control these and identify all the hazards and risks, and then making sure that we're done in a consistent way. So, as I say, we're really getting the commitment and enthusiasm. The supervisors and management team are all on board, and we're ensuring, as the words there that you see highlighted, living, breathing system. I can assure you that within performance projects, that's what it is. It's something that's spoke about every single day, and it's something that we are absolutely convinced will give us that performance going forward to achieve zero harm. So in conclusion, the last slide, please. It's a great example of a framework that impacts on safety, because it gives us that repeatability. It gives us that assurance that things are consistently being done the way it's expected. And we do that, we get that reassurance as everyone else will do, by ensuring the supervisors and the managers are out there talking to the guys, whether it's the people who issuing the permit, people accepting the permit, but getting that reassurance that the practices are meeting expectation. And this really gets us to where we want people to see that we are a responsible company, and there's nothing worse than being a company that has high rate of incidents or accidents. And we're not in that. We're improving week on, week out, month in, month out, and we're getting better all the time. And the utilisation of RAP is really taking us forward. The process provides us with greater reliability. And again, I'll come back to it. This could have only happened by having this system and having the operations look at this and start to use it using a past experience. And also getting our engineers on board to pick out the analytical data that we have that says we could do better. We could get this process working quicker, but safely. Being quicker does not mean that you're unsafe. So we're working through all this, and we definitely have a committed leadership and workforce using RAP. And from the sites that have now been using it for the last few years, we've seen the performance has improved. We have less downtime. We have less time spent investigating incidents and accidents, and we're keeping our workforce safe. And our journey to zero harm is absolutely a clear vision for us, and something we strive for every single day. So that's very quickly took us through the journey for Huntsman. I hope I've explained it in a way that you understand. But we are ready to take questions from yourselves, and hopefully we can answer all those questions. But I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to Mark and myself, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mark and John, for your presentation and participation at Why Now. Very informative. I think safety is a very popular topic during this conference, and as a speaker from Saudi Aramco put in an earlier session, is safety is really foundational in the process industry. So learning more from your experience on transformative approaches and processes to improve it, very relevant. So thanks again for sharing these experience. I think also the audience really agrees, because we are getting some good questions in. I must say time is not really on our side, and the organization, as you know, asked me to be very time sensitive. So we have about 8 minutes for Q&A. Let's jump to the first question, if that's okay with you guys. I'm gonna give this one to John. Bullock ask a question. His question is, why are we hearing and seeing more about control work than ever before? John, is that, or should I address Mark to this question? Who wants to take a shot?
I don't mind. From when you mentioned control of work, it really, I mean, that is the crux of the matter. How do we control work? And fundamentally, in the chemical industry, we do that through the permit to work system. And there's a huge reliance on the competency and the capability of the people. But that, because of the changes over the years, has always been that, you know, how do you assist these people in managing all the activities and understanding the procedures and standards that go with it. And that's why RAP in itself provides that. It's a one-stop shop. It just helps manage those tasks and activities, and the repeatability and consistency of managing them is outstanding.
Thanks. You want to add something to that, Mark, maybe?
Yeah, I think as well as that, it's being driven by consistently tightening national, international standards that are making it more of a focus for particularly C-suite to be really trying to make sure that safety is paramount in everything that's done.
Awesome, thank you. Another question from Jesse D. Good question, actually. He mentions he thinks the topic of safety is typically seen as this additional extra investment, not driving revenue. So his question is actually, what priority should digital control of work be given across an organization? Who wants to take that one?
Maybe I'll start with that one.
Okay.
Safety should be the fundamental bedrock on which any business sits. If you can't work safely, then really you shouldn't be working at all. I mean, that's a fairly hard line to take, but it's the right line to take. And unfortunately, sometimes you do get companies that will look at profit before people. You know, Huntsman is not one of those, and their absolute fundamental focus is on the safety of their people first and foremost, and then how you drive that out. Because if you get the safety part right, then you're less likely to get downtime, you're less likely to get accidents, incidents, and all of the things that actually stop you from manufacturing in the first place. So getting that bit right is critical.
Got you.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, John.
No, sorry, I totally agree. But I also liken safety as it's risk. It's the degree of risk associated with activities and tasks, and that plays a big part. So yeah, I don't tend to use the word safety as much as I do risk. So what risks are associated with those tasks, and how do we mitigate it? Because every day we have risks, whether it's in our home or driving to work. But we don't issue permits for that. But we do in an area like the chemical industry. So I'm a big believer in risk is the area that we need to take that challenge.
Understood. There's actually a follow-up question from Jesse about this, and I want to ask it to John. What is the next step? How has digital control work contributed to a positive change in safety culture at Huntsman?
It's been a transformation. To be fair, we feel like we've got control of our work activities, full control. We've got on board our contractors, so these are critical to maintaining our assets and achieving the production that we want to. Because with this time element associated with activities, it just dovetails into everything that we do. It's a valued part of the operations that we undertake, and it's given us that consistency globally, and that's what we're achieving. It's not just in Americas; it's globally. It's Asia and it's in Europe.
Right. And Mark, you probably have seen this happening at Huntsman as well and evolving. Isn't it great to see that their perception on safety is changing, and with that, the culture?
It's fantastic to see that the safety and the culture is changing. It's also really nice to see the fact that lessons that are being learned in different plants in different parts of the world are having the ability to be cross-fertilized more easily than would otherwise be the case if there wasn't a common system being used.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so maybe the last question. We have about 3 minutes for that, so whoever shouts first gets it. This one is from Anne Dubois. What is the next step or frontier for technology to enhance control of work that you are seeing in the marketplace?
Uh, from my perspective, in terms of talking to customers about it, that the next steps that we're really seeing is more about what I would term an interconnected worker, taking work out into the field more and being able to carry out the work in the field in the same way as you can in the safety office. Using mobile devices, using additional digital equipment to support the work, so that historically we might have gone out and carried out an area check and then come back and confirmed everything was okay. It's nice now to be able to go out and do an area check and confirm with a GPS location that we are where we say we are when we check that an area is safe for people to carry out work.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
John,
and
anything you want to add?
yeah, just quickly. I mean, that
Sure.
we're utilizing that in certain areas, not across the globe, but we're using the handheld tablets. The guys can go out, they can be at the workplace with the people carrying out the task, and you can work through your permit and go through all the controls. And as Mark says, you know exactly where you are. So it's fantastic, and we're just going to keep building on that.
Great, great ending. Well, John, Mark, we're at the ending of the session. I'd like to thank you both for participating in this conference. Your presentation has been great. Of course, I also like to thank the audience for viewing this session. There are many sessions upcoming, so please stay tuned and pick one of the next sessions that you feel is interesting. Also, we would love to get some feedback, so please rate the session at its conclusion. But for now, to all of you, have a nice day and keep in touch.